Hi, welcome to another episode of Webcam Sessions. This week we're going to work on one of my favorite Christmas tunes, the Christmas song, or Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire. This arrangement's for low G ukulele, and you can try playing it with the high G. You might notice a couple parts sound a little bit different. It'll still kind of work, but I want to give the low G some love. And so if you're a high G player, be sure and check out last week's episode where we worked on an arrangement of Silent Night, or last year's episode where we worked on Jingle Bell Rock, which is also kind of meant for that high G tuning. Both of those are linked in the description below. But let's go ahead and dive into this low G song and arrangement. The tabs are also available in a link below, so be sure to check that out if you want to have that printed out while we're working through it. But let's go ahead and dive right in. I guess I'll play it through once for you guys so that you can hear it as we start here. So what's important with this song is it's a little bit more difficult than some of the other ones that we've worked on, and uses a lot of seventh chord and kind of multiple finger chord shapes and bars. So it's a great example to start getting comfortable with moving up the neck a little bit. And it's also important where if you feel overwhelmed at all, just focus on little sections of the song. It's not important to play it all the way through every time. It's okay to just break it off one little piece at a time. So let's go ahead and dive right in though. Starting here, we're going to play our open C string and then a C chord. And there's two ways that we can play the C chord. The first way is the way that I played it in the video just now, which is using the ring finger on the 3 of the A. Now, the funny thing is you might be thinking C chord. Well, the C chord's pretty easy. Well, we're trying to set up for the next chord, the D minor 6 chord that's being played. Because that next chord, what I like to do is I like to bar my middle finger over the 2 on the G and the C strings, having it come off so it's not touching the E or the A, placing 1 on the E string, and then 2 on the A string with my index and then ring fingers. This is a really difficult way of playing this chord that takes quite a bit of practice. Ignore the whited out hand. For some reason, this ukulele and my lighting don't like each other, but I digress. So when we look at that, that's a pretty difficult way to play it because it needs this finger to only be on the G and the C strings and be off of the A and the E. And so this is not the preferred way of playing it when you're first learning it because of its difficulty. So what we can do is instead play that first C chord with our pinky finger. And if we play that C chord with our pinky finger, what we can then do is just slide that pinky down 1 fret to 2 on the A, and then we can add our middle on 2 of the G, our ring on 2 of the C, and our index on 1 of the E. So we have 2, 2, 1, 2 built like this. Now it's a little more cramped than this, but it's also a little bit easier. And so whichever way works best for you is the one that you want to start working on with this, but it's good to practice both of them. So So, good news is that's about the hardest part of the song, the very beginning, right? But just practicing that relationship again and again will really help as you're working through it. Now, the next part, we're going to take off our pinky here, play the open A. We want to leave the other fingers in position, though, until we have to move them. Then we'll take our pinky, play 3 on the E, and then we'll remove our pinky, play 1 on the E, which should already be there with the index finger. So the whole first measure should sound something like, or if you want to play it the way I did in the video. And that's going to make use of that, again, difficult transition, but good to work on. So again, that's about the hardest part of the whole song. So if we can get through that, the rest is relatively smooth sailing, which I kind of like that when a song starts off hard, because if you overcome that one challenge, it gets a little easier from there. Now, if you're really struggling with that part and haven't clicked off the video yet, it's okay to just play a G7 chord here and not actually strum through the G string. So what you can do to make this easier is play through that C chord and then just play a G7 and play everything except the G string. So play the C, E, and A. You notice it won't give quite the richness that low G does, but it works. So pretty cool. Now let's go on measure 2. We're going to play 0 on the G, C, and E strings, and then play the E string 2 more times. And then a G7 chord. Middle finger on 2, index on 1, and ring on 2 of the C, E, and A strings. Now measure 3, we're going to play our open C string, followed by all open across all 4 strings. And then we're going to play this sort of unique C7 chord where we're going to take our our middle finger, place on the 3rd fret of the G string, and take our ring finger, place on the 3rd fret of the E string. And we're going to strum through the G, C, and E string, stopping at the A. And then we're going to take our index and place it on the 1st fret of the E string, removing our ring finger from the E string. And we're going to play that 1. So, and then we're going to open that E string. Then we're going to play 2 on the C with our index. So measures 2 and 3 now should sound something like this. Now it's really important, and will be throughout this whole arrangement, is not moving our fingers until we have to. Whenever we're playing a chord melody like this, it's so important to let the harmony ring through, or the chords, as we're playing through the melody. So don't take off your fingers unless you have to. And I'll let you know when you have to remove them. But it's something that kind of separates a beginner player from an advanced player, is their ability to let things ring and sing. Because if you notice, if I play through that same measure and remove my fingers right away, when I right, you hear that note stops ringing and it doesn't sound as good. Versus, right, much better. So starting here at measure 4, start with the open C string, then we're going to play an F chord, middle finger on 2 of the G, index on 1 of the E, and then we're going to play an E7 chord, bring our index finger up to 1 on the G, middle finger on 2 of the C, and ring finger on 2 of the A. Now in measure 5 here, we're playing off of our G and C strings, and we're going to really be making use of that bass string that the G gives us. So we're going to start with our middle finger here on 2 of the G. We're going to play the G and C strings together, stopping at that E string. Then we're going to play the C string again. And then we're going to take our index, place it on 1 of the G, take our middle, place it on 2 of the C, and play just those 2 strings again. And then play the C string again. And we're going to open the C string, remove the middle finger, put back on the middle. So that measure 5 is. Now moving on to measure 6, we're going to play all open, but we're not going to play the A string. So 0 on the C, G, C, and E strings. Play 3 on the E with our ring. Then open our A string. Then we're going to play this B7 chord where we will bar all the way across with our 2nd fret using our index finger, and then take our middle finger and place it on the 3rd fret of the C string and play all the way through. Now I'm going to give you just a couple notes with this bar chord. One is bar chords can be tough. If you're finding that this is difficult, make sure that you're rolling all the way up to the fret wire. Not going over it, but all the way up to it. It's going to make the bar a little easier. And with that other finger that needs to go on the C string, make sure it's getting close to the fret wire too. The more far back you are like this, the harder it is to get a good tone. You want to make sure that they're creeping right up to the edge there. Pretty awesome. So as we are playing that chord, if you're really struggling with it, it's okay to take your middle finger and collapse it over the index as well, and then use your ring to play the 3 on the C string. This isn't really cheating, it's just giving you more opportunity for pressure with these 2 fingers barred across. And I routinely will play it like this just because it's a little bit easier on the hand. So both ways are right. Then we're going to play our open string on the A. So measure 6 should sound like. Now I love this section of the song because it's just sliding a bar all the way around. So the measures 7 and 8 here are a really good practice for bars. We're going to take our index finger bar all the way across the 4th fret. We're going to play the G, C, and E strings, stopping on the A string. And then we're going to play that 4 on the E a second time. So it goes. Now notice how I'm stacking my middle finger over just to help with that bar. It's not needed anywhere else, so might as well use it for some extra efficiency. Then I'm going to slide it all the way down to fret 1, and I'm going to add that 2 on the C string. And I can add that with either my middle finger, just like we did earlier with the chord that was 1 fret higher, or I can use my ring finger so that my middle finger can continually be stacked across with that index finger. Now, when we play this, if we're using our middle finger here, it really sets up these next notes because we're going to play 4 on the E, which can be used our pinky, then 3 on the E, which we can use our ring finger, then 1 on the E, which is already built in there. So measure 7 should look and sound like. Now as we go to measure 8, we're just going to take this index finger and slide it up to 3 and strum our G, C, and E strings right there on 3. And this is why I love this as a bar chord exercise, because 7 into the first note of 8 looks like this. And go ahead and just watch how my hand moves with the bar. It's just sliding all the way around. So really like that exercise. And then as we go into the next part of 8, we're going to play 0, 2, 3. We're going to use our middle finger here on the C string, 2nd fret, and our ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the E string. And the reason is right after we play this 0, 2, 3, the next note that's played is 1 on the E, which our index finger will be able to access here as soon as we remove that ring. So we have then open, and then play 2 on the C, which should already be there. So bar 8 should sound like. Now what's great is from this point it essentially repeats. So bars 1 through 8 are nearly identical to bars 9 through 16. They're almost the same, not quite. There's some differences as we go through it. And so we're going to go ahead and take a look at those, but it's okay when you're practicing this to kind of take these first 8 bars and then just practice them over and over. You know, don't worry about going on to the next section. It sounds good, it's got a lot of the sound of the song, and a lot of times people try to bite off more than they can chew when they're learning to practice. And I think it's really important to get comfortable with a section and move on to the next. It's not to say you should have that section mastered, but rather just able to play through it, have some fun with it. So let's go ahead and take a look at measure 9 now. So measure 9 is going to start off exactly the same, or we can play it. And then measure 10 is the same as 2, and then 3 and 11 are the same here. And then 4 and 12 are the same. And then 5 and 13 are the same. And then 10 and, 14 and 6. And then we're going to play the open A. So all of that's exactly the same. Now we go into measure 15, which is going to be different in this case than the earlier repeat. What we'll do is we'll take our ring finger placed on the 3rd fret of the E string, play our G, C, and E together, then take that off, play the open E, and play an A minor with our middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the G string, all the way through all 4. Then add our ring on 3 of the E, and then we're going to play a D minor chord, which we can use our middle, ring, and index fingers on the G, C, and E strings, respectively. And then we're going to reach our pinky out on 4 of the G, and then play the open C. And that sort of ends this section. So measure 15 going into 16 should sound like... Then continuing here on 16, we play a C chord. And now we start into the bridge of the song, so a little bit different section. We're going to play open C, 4 on the G, open C. Make sure that we use our pinky here at 4 as we stretch over. And then we're going to play a piece of the dreaded B flat chord, but we're actually playing a B flat 6, also known as G minor 7, which is taking your index finger, barring across the E and A 1st fret. Then adding the middle finger here on 2 of the C string. We also have the open G. We're going to go through all 4 strings. And then we're going to take off our middle finger, move our index down to 1 on just the A, and strum through that. Then our open A, 3 on the E with the ring, 2 on the E with the middle. And then we're going to go back to 3 on the E with our ring. But before we play it, we're going to add the 2 on the C with our index finger and the 3 on the G with our ring finger and play our G, C, and E strings there. That creates a G minor chord, which is really nice there. So the end of 16 going into 17 and then even 18 sounds like this. Continuing with 18, we then play a C7 again, just the index finger there on 1 of the A. Open C, 4 on the G with the pinky, open C. Then that G minor 7 or B flat 6 again, so 0, 2, 1, 1. Same way, index finger barred across 1 on the E and the A, middle finger here on 2. And if you're finding trouble with that chord, which a lot of people do, the real trick with it is making sure that that index finger has a recess going this way and the middle finger has it sort of arcing over the top like this. It takes a lot of practice to kind of build up that flexibility. It's kind of like yoga for your fingers. But pulling your hand back can help with this too, because a lot of times people try to exert too much pressure here and the A string won't be pressed correctly. So by bringing the hand back, it can help tie that into it. So then we're going to play the open A. In this case, we have to take off our index finger, but we can leave the middle. Then 1 on the A, add back the index just on the 1 on the A, and open the A again, and play a C7, just the index on 1 of the A, all open. Then open A, 3 on the E with the ring finger, 1 on the E with the index finger. So measure 19 should sound like... And now into measure 20, we're going to add our middle finger here on 2 of the G and add our ring finger here on 3 of the E. Now we're going to play open C, 4 on the G, again with the pinky finger, open C. And here at measure 21 is what I think is the other hardest part of the song, just like the beginning. We're going to play 1 on the G and 4 on the E. 1 with our index finger, 4 with our pinky finger, leaving the C string open, which can be a little bit difficult because your hand's going to want to collapse. You want to get that nice arc to make sure that the finger or the strings are open. And we're going to strum the 1, 0, and 4 together, stopping at the A string. Really important to not play the A string. It sounds awful. So just the G, C, and E strings. Then play 3 on the E with the ring finger, back to 4 with the pinky. So that sounds like... And And then we're going to play the 1, 2, 1, 1, which is that bar all the way across 1 on the G, C, E, and A, add the middle on 2 of the C, strum through that. Then we're going to play 3 on the E with our ring finger, 1 on the E, which should already be there within the bar. And then we're going to add the ring finger on 3 of the C. And as we do this, you'll notice the very next section is going to be 3, 3, 1. So what we'll do is we'll add our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the G string, leaving our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the C, and add the index on 1 of the E. So measure 21 into 22 should sound like this. Then we'll play the C, and then E, and then C, all where they are closed on there. And then we're going to bar all the way across 2, add the 3 for a D7 chord, 2, 2, 2, 3, middle finger there on that 3, or if we want the extra pressure, we can use our ring finger to bar across with the middle finger as well. We're going to play just the G and C together, and then the C string 3 times, and then all the way through all 4, and then the C twice more. So measure 23 should sound like. Now on 24, we can play just the G and C there, but it doesn't set us up for the very next chord, which is a D minor 7. So when you get to 24, even though we're already there, we want to switch to use our middle and ring finger on 2 of the G and the C strings, so that we can have our index finger here on 1 of the E and pinky finger here on 3 of the A to strum all the way through for that second beat. And then it goes to a G7. 0, 2, 1, 2, middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the C, index finger on 1st of the A, and ring here on the 2nd of the A. So measure 22 should be. And now from here, it's sort of a repeat again. But then when we get to 26, we're going to do it a little bit differently than we did before. We're going to play all open, except for the A string, just the G, C, and E. Then we're going to add 4 with our ring finger on the G string, play the G, C, and E strings. And then we're going to add 2 with the index on the C string. This is just kind of a little jazzy section, embellishing it a bit. And then from here, all of that is exactly the same as measure 3 and 4, only at the end of this measure 28, instead of going the E7 like it does before, we're going to play the 4 on the G string with our pinky. Now measure 29, middle finger should be here on 2 of the G, play the G and the C together, play the 4 on the G with our pinky, open C, move this middle finger down to 2 on the C, add the index on 1 of the G, open C, 2 on the C. So that measure should sound like, starting with the end of 28 into 29. Now, measure 30 starts with that all open, play the G, C, and E strings, don't play the A string. Add the ring finger on 3 of the E, open up the A, then play that B7 chord that we played a few times, the 2, 3, 2, 2, bar all the way across the 2nd fret, add the middle finger here on 3 of the C. It's also okay to play it like this to get that extra help. It doesn't really matter. Then we're going to play 3 on the A. Now, at this point, it doesn't really matter what finger we use because we want this chord to to have what we call a fermata. And what a fermata is we let it ring until we want it to stop. And in the case of the ukulele, we're going to let this ring until it stops ringing. At least that's what I like to do. So I let this keep ringing until it dies, and then I'll move to that 3 on the A. So it doesn't matter which finger's used because we're letting that note naturally decay prior anyways. So we play the 3 on the A, open on the A, and we're going to add our ring finger on 3 of the E, play 0 on the G, 0 on the C, 3 on the E, open C. We're going to play a G7, then we're going to play just the G and the C of the G7, and then we're going to play open on the G and C strings together, and then then we're going to take our index, bar it across the 7 on the E and the A, strum through all 4 for the end. So measure 30 to the end should sound something like. So I love this arrangement because it's a nice challenge, and every year when I pull it out, it's always a good exercise to get the fingers moving and everything else. And so if you find that's very, very challenging, it's okay. This style of song really rewards good practice. It's all fretting and trying to get those fingers into position. And it's a good one to kind of revisit each year as you're learning the ukulele to sort of see how much improvement you've made throughout the year, because you'll notice it gets a little bit easier every time. Again, be sure to check out the other videos that we did. We did the Jingle Bell Rock as well as a Silent Night. I also did a video of Silver Bells, which you could check out in the link below, which I did on my own channel. And so a lot of Christmas holiday music this time of year. What I find is that this style of music is really great for people learning the ukulele because it's so familiar. You know, it's embedded into the culture. I mean, you go to the mall and you hear all these songs, so we all know them. And so they can really help us tap into a little bit of nostalgia and other things as we're learning the instruments. And it tends to make learning Christmas music a little bit easier than maybe some other styles, at least for me. My mom loves Christmas music. She's like the, end of October Christmas music type of person. She'll say, oh no, I wait till November 1st, but we all know the truth, Mom. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of Webcam Sessions.